You clicked this video, which means one of two things is true. Either you have a shelf of tiny plastic men staring at you right now, or you are about to find out why the person next to you spent $400 on a cardboard rectangle. There is no third option. You are already inside the machine. And the machine is your own brain, which is currently lying to you about how much a Charizard is worth. Here's the good news. It is not your fault. It is a survival instinct. Here is the bad news. It is a survival instinct from 40,000 years ago that has absolutely no idea Funko Pops exist. I am going to explain exactly why you cannot stop collecting, and by the end, you will feel like a genius. It is actually really simple. No, it is not. That was a lie. Your brain is a raccoon in a business suit, and we are going to prove it. Let me show you. But first, meet Gary. Gary is a grown adult. Gary has an empty binder. Gary is going to complete his set. Remember, Gary is all of us. Lesson 1. You are not shopping, you are hunting. 40,000 years ago, your ancestors did not collect trading cards. They collected berries, shiny rocks, and, if they were feeling spicy, more spears. The humans who got a little rush of pleasure from finding good stuff survived the winter. The humans who did not care got eaten by the winter. So congratulations, you are descended from the greediest ones. That little rush comes from a chemical called dopamine. And here's the part everyone gets wrong. Dopamine is not the I got it chemical. It is the ooh, I might be about to get it chemical. Your brain squirts it during the chase, not the catch. Scientists call this the seeking system, because the part of your brain that acts like a golden retriever at a tennis ball factory did not fit in the journal. Which means the best part of collecting, scientifically speaking, is the part before you own the thing. The hunt through the card shop. The scroll through eBay at 2 a.m. The moment your thumb touches the foil wrapper. That is the peak. That is the whole ride. And that is why opening the pack feels amazing, and then 2 minutes later you feel weirdly empty and need another pack. That is not sadness. That is your caveman brain going, okay, cool, where is the next gazelle? Gary has felt this. Gary calls it the dip. Gary's solution to the dip is more packs. Gary is a scientist now. Okay, so the hunt is the fun part. But why does it hijack your entire personality? Lesson 2. Your brain runs on the exact same software as a slot machine. There is a thing called variable ratio reinforcement, which is a fancy way of saying rewards you cannot predict. Psychologists figured this out with pigeons, because psychologists are always doing something to pigeons. Give a pigeon a food pellet every single time it pecks a button and the pigeon gets bored. Give the pigeon a pellet at random, unpredictable times, and that pigeon will peck the button until it forgets it is a bird. You are the pigeon, the booster pack is the button, and you might pull a rare one is the single most addictive sentence in the English language. Unpredictable rewards squeeze out way more dopamine than predictable ones, which is why nobody has ever ripped open a bag of rice with trembling hands. This is the exact same engine that runs slot machines, loot boxes, and every mobile game that has ever whispered just one more pull into your ear at midnight. The casino industry spent a century perfecting this machine, and then the trading card industry looked at it and said, what if we did that, but for children? Gary has spent his rent money. Gary says it is an investment. Gary's binder is still mostly empty. Gary's landlord has questions. But here is the truly evil part. Sometimes you almost get the rare card, and your brain treats almost like a victory. Wait, how does losing feel like winning? Lesson 3. The near miss. Your brain's dumbest, most expensive glitch. When you almost win, your brain lights up some of the same reward circuitry as an actual win. Researchers have put gamblers in brain scanners and watched it happen. 2 cherries and a banana feels like you were this close, even though this close in gambling is a technical term meaning you lost. In card collecting, the near miss is pulling something shiny that is not the shiny you wanted. You got a holographic card. It is a holographic Pokémon Bidoof. Your brain does not care. Your brain saw sparkle, fired the confetti cannons, and pre-ordered your next disappointment, stupid Bidoof. This is why pulling 4 commons and 1 kind of rare makes you buy more packs, not fewer. You did not get the thing, you got the feeling of almost getting the thing. And to a caveman brain, the feeling of almost is basically free espresso. Gary once pulled a card that was rare in a different language. Gary framed it. Gary cannot read it. Gary says it speaks to him. Okay, but surely once you finally own something, you are satisfied, right? Wrong! That is where it gets worse. Lesson 4. The second you own it, you think it is magic. There is a bias called the endowment effect, and it was made famous by a Nobel Prize-winning economist using the least glamorous object in human history, a coffee mug. Here is the experiment. Hand people a mug, then ask them to sell it. On average, they demand roughly double what a buyer in the next room is willing to pay for the identical mug. The mug did not change. The mug did not get a job. The mug did not develop a personality. Your brain changed. The instant something becomes yours, your brain slaps an invisible little mine sticker on it and doubles the price. Now multiply that by a shelf of 400 Funko Pops, each one wearing an invisible crown that only you can see. This is why you physically cannot sell any of them, why every trade feels like a robbery, and why your family speaks about your hobby in hushed tones at Thanksgiving. Gary would never sell his collection. Gary's collection is priceless. Gary's collection is also $40 on eBay. Both of these things are true at the same time, and scientists are still not okay about it. So we hunt, we gamble, we glitch, and we hoard. But there is one more force, and it is the reason none of us can ever truly quit. Lesson 5. Your brain cannot stand a job it did not finish. There is a thing called the Zeigarnik effect. Your brain remembers unfinished tasks far better than finished ones, and it will nag you about them forever. It is the reason a waiter can remember your entire order right up until the moment you pay and then instantly deletes you like a browser tab. A complete collection is boring. A collection missing one card is a psychological open wound that whispers your name at 3 in the morning. That single empty slot in the binder generates more mental energy than the 200 slots you already filled. Your brain does not celebrate the 200. Your brain stares at the 1. And every single company that has ever sold you anything knows this. Gotta catch 'em all is not a slogan. It is a psychological hostage note. Sets are designed with chase cards and short prints on purpose because almost complete is the most profitable phrase in capitalism. You are not finishing a collection. You are paying off a debt your brain invented. Gary is 1 card away. Gary has been 1 card away for 6 years. The 1 card costs more than Gary's car. Lesson 6. You are not buying a toy. You are buying a time machine. Here is why it is always Pokémon cards and not, say, decorative spoons. Well, sometimes it is decorative spoons. Grandma had a system. But mostly, we collect the stuff from when we were 10 years old, and that is not an accident. Psychologists talk about nostalgia as a genuine emotional regulation tool. When you hold an object from your childhood, your brain does not just remember being 10, it borrows a little bit of how being 10 felt. Safe, simple, 0 emails. The object becomes a physical save point from a time when your biggest problem was bedtime. So when a 35-year-old pays $400 for a first edition card, they are not really buying cardboard. They are buying $19.99. They are buying Saturday morning. They are buying back a version of themselves that did not know what taxes were. And honestly, as far as time travel goes, $400 is a steal. Gary keeps his childhood binder next to his adult binder. Gary says the childhood one is not for trading. Gary gets quiet when he says it. Respect the quiet. Gary is healing, yo. Okay. But at what point does all of this stop being charming and start being a problem? Lesson 7. The line between a collector and a dragon. Here's the honest part. Psychologists do draw a line between collecting and hoarding. And the line is not about how much stuff you have. It is about organization and distress. A collector curates. There is a system, a display, a binder, a theme. A hoard has no system. It just grows, and it causes real distress and starts eating the person's life, their space, and their relationships. So the shelf of Funko Pops arranged by franchise? That is a collection. That is your brain's ancient gathering instinct wearing its Sunday best. If the stuff starts owning you instead of the other way around, that is when it is worth talking to someone, and there is 0 shame in that. Even cavemen ask for directions. Probably. For everyone else, here is the most important truth. The one that overrides everything. None of this is broken. Collecting is not a bug in your brain. It is the same machinery that made humans store food for the winter, sort seeds, map the good berry patches, and eventually build museums, libraries, and every archive of human knowledge on Earth. The hunt, the order, the completion, the story. That is not a glitch. That is the software that built civilization. You are simply pointing 40,000 years of survival programming at a small plastic dragon, and the small plastic dragon is honored. So really, a collection is just a caveman's pile of shiny rocks, except now the rocks have feelings, a resale value, and a tiny invisible crown that only you can see. If this video unlocks something in your damaged little raccoon brain, do the one thing that completes my set, subscribe, because a channel missing one subscriber is a psychological open wound, and you, specifically you, are the empty slot in my binder. Toss a rare one in the jar on your way out. Gary finished his set. 6 years. 1 car. It is done. Gary stared at the full binder for a long, peaceful moment. True completion, true rest. Then Gary bought a second binder.